الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الناصح الأمين. اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. يا عباد الله، أخرج شيخان وغيرهما عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: انطلق 3 نفر ممن كان قبلكم حتى آواهم المبيت إلى غار فدخلوه. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he informs us, as it comes in a hadith that has been collected by both Bukhari and Muslim, and it's from the hadith of Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that there were 3 men, there was a party of three men from those who were before you, and they sought shelter for the night inside of a cave, and then they entered into it. فانحدرت صخرة من الجبل, and at that point a boulder from the mountain, it came down and it fell. فسدت عليهم الغار, and it trapped them inside of the cave. It fell over the opening of the cave and they were trapped inside of the cave. فقالوا, so they said, إنه لا ينجيكم من هذه الصخرة إلا أن تدعوا الله جل وعلا بصالح أعمالكم. It said that verily none of you will be saved from this stone, none of you will be saved from this boulder and this situation, except that they need to make dua, they need to supplicate to Allah Jalla wa Ala with the good actions that they have done, with those good deeds in which they have performed. وقال الشيخ Abdis Burgess رحمه الله تعالى: عباد الله، هذه قصة ذات عبرة عظيمة. He said that this story has in it tremendous lessons for us to ponder upon them. فإن هؤلاء النفر الثلاثة عملوا أعمالا صالحة في الرخاء أو في الرخاء. He said because these 3 men, they used to do good actions, righteous good deeds inside of good times. And I want you to contemplate over the situation in which they were in, and then I want you to reflect upon those calamities that might strike us in our lifetime. And I want you to ponder that in good times, there were those who did righteous good deeds. There were those who performed ibadah in good times. فَلَمَّا وَقَعَتْ بِهِمْ كُرْبَةٌ وَشِدَّةٌ سَأَلُوا اللَّهَ جَلَّ وَعَلَى بِصَالِحِ أَعْمَالِهِمْ. So when there came to them a difficulty, when there came to them a calamity, when there came to them a rough time, they supplicated to Allah Jalla wa Ala by way of their good deeds. التي فعلوها حال رخاء الرخاء, the ones in which they had done during the good times. ففرج الله كربتهم. So Allah Ta'ala, He removed their difficulty. So therefore we understand better when we reflect this statement: من تعرف على الله في الرخاء تعرف الله عليه في الشدة. That whoever knows Allah in good times, Whoever knows Allah when things are easy, then Allah will know them when things are difficult. Meaning that Allah will aid them when things are difficult. Whoever knows Allah, meaning whoever worships Allah, does that which is right, is obedient to Allah Jalla wa Ala when things are good, then Allah Ta'ala, He will aid them when things become difficult. Allah will aid them when things become rough, when things become tough. فقال الأول, so the first of these three men, they said, Allahumma كان لي أبوان شيخان كبيران. He said, oh my Lord, oh Allah, verily I had two parents who were very old in age. I had two parents that were very old in age. وَكُنْتُ لَا أَغْبِطُ قَبْلَهُمَا أَهْلًا وَلَا مَالًا. He said, and I used to not prefer anyone over them. I used to not give the milk to anyone before I gave it to them. فَنَدَى بِي طَلَبُ الشَّجَرَ يَوْمًا. But one day, I went out searching for some trees. And it led me to go far away from the house on that day. فَلَمْ أُرِحْ عَلَيْهِمَا حَتَّى نَامَا. And I did not return unto them until they were sleeping. فَحَلَبْتُ لَهُمَا قُبُوطَهُمَا. So I milked the sheep, or I milked the animal. I took the milk from the animal. فَوَجَدْتَهُمَا نَائِمَيْنِ. And then I found both of them that they were sleeping. فَوَضَعْتُ الْقَضَحَ عَلَى أَيْدِي أَنْتَظِرُ إِسْتِقَاظَهُمَا. He said, so I kept the container of milk inside of my hand, and I waited until they woke up. حَتَّى بَزَغَ الْفَجْرِ. I waited for them to wake up until the break of dawn. فَلَمَّا اسْتَيْقَظَا أَعْطَيْتُهُمَا قُبُوطَهُمَا فَشَرِبَا. And when they woke up, I gave to them the milk to drink it, and they drank it. Allahumma in kuntu fa'altu dhalika bitighaa'a wajhik fafarrij 'anna ma nahnu fihi min hadhihi as-sakhra fanfajarat shay'an yasiran la yastati'una al-khuruj min. He said, oh Allah, if what I have done, I did it sincerely seeking your face, then remove this calamity from us, remove from us this situation that we are in, remove from us this calamity of the rock. So the rock, it moved a small bit, but not enough for them to leave. Ya ibadallah, look at the example of this first one, and how he was righteous to his parents. وقال الشيخ عبد السلام برجس رحمه الله تعالى فأول ذكر بره بوالديه. The first one, he mentioned his righteousness and good treatment of both his parents. وإحسانه إليهما, and how good he was unto them. ورأفته بهما, and the affection that he had for them. وهذه صورة جليلة ينبغي أن تكون نصب عين كل مسلم دوما وأبدا. He said, and this is a goodly example that every Muslim, he has to have a portion of it all the time and continuously. Every Muslim has to strive to fulfill this example. وَيَحْتَدِي حَذْوَهَا, he has to strive to fulfill and follow this example. وَيَسْعَى إِلَى تَطْبِيقِهَا مَعَ الْوَالِدَيْنِ, and he has to strive to implement this as relates to his parents. وَنَحْنُ بِحَاجَةٍ إِلَى ذَلِكَ حَاجَةً مَاسَّةً لَا سِيَّمَا فِي هَذَا الْوَقْتِ الَّذِي طَغَتْ فِيهِ الْمَادَّةِ. He said, and we have to strive to implement this with a striving, especially in the time in which we live in. Especially right now, we are in most need of this tremendous example, with extreme need, especially in the time that we live in, where many have gone beyond the bounds and have transgressed the limits against their parents. when many have transgressed the limits against their parents. وَانْشَغَلَ فِيهِ كُلُّ إِنسَانٍ بِنَفْسِهِ, and everyone only worrying about himself. How much of a tragedy is it that we read inside of the papers that there were parents who were accosted, who were beat up by their children, or that there were parents who were murdered by their children, or that there were parents who had to take out restraining orders and call the authorities on their children. Out of what? Out of fear from the harm that may come to them from their children. This is the time that we live in. People are worried about themselves. How often do we hear, and how common is it to find the nursing homes filled with older people? So much so that it has become big business, multi-million if not billion-dollar business. These people who have children, these people who have family members who can take care of them, but everyone is worried about themselves. This is the time that we are living in. فَحَرِيٌّ بِالْمُسْلِمِ أَنْ يُحْسِنَ إِلَى وَالِدَيْهِ وَأَنْ يَبَرَّهُمَا. He said, so it is a must, and it is suitable, it is worth mentioning, it is appropriate that the Muslim, he interacts and he treats his parents with the good treatment, and that he deals with them in the best of manners and the best of ways. لَا سِيَّمَا إِذَا بَلَغَ الْكِبْرِ, especially when they reach into the old age. مِنْهُمَا مَبْلَغًا لَا يَسْتَطِيعَانْ مَعَهُ دَفْعَ الضُّرِّ عن أنفسهم أو جلب الخير لأنفسهم, especially when they have reached that old age in which they are not able to bring good for themselves, they are not able to provide for themselves, nor are they able to repel any harm from themselves. When they have reached that age where they can't drive, it's difficult for them to walk, they cannot go to the grocery store, they don't have the faculties to pay their bills, so on and so forth, especially when they reach this age, when they are not able to do for themselves like they used to do for themselves and for their children. When they are not able to repel the harm from themselves like they used to repel the harm from themselves and from their children. Especially at this age, the children should be striving at the utmost to take care of them, just like the parents took care of him when he was a baby and couldn't fend for himself. Just like they protected him when he was a child and he couldn't protect himself. Just like they fed him when he was a child and he couldn't feed himself. Just like they paid the bills when he couldn't pay the bills. Now it is time for the children to strive. To strive. We're not going to say to pay them back, because the child can never pay back the parent. But it's an opportunity for the child to strive to be good to the parent as the parent used to be good to them. But we find, وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, that we live in at times where this is not the case. Where the people leave their parents, they leave their grandparents to rot away inside of a nursing home, where they're abused by the nurses and by the doctors and the practitioners and the like, when they're abused by the orderlies and talked down to and disrespected and the like. But yet this man, he has a home. Yet this man, he has, and he is not spending upon his parents. This man, he has, and his parents don't live with him. This man, he has, but he don't take care of his parents. What an evil example is this? What an evil thing is this? It is for the Muslim to take example to the likes of these stories that come inside of the Kitab and the Sunnah. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't give us this qissa so as to amuse us. He didn't give us this qissa for our entertainment, but he gave it to us that we may take an example. So it is upon the Muslims to excel in the good treatment of their parents, just like this one excelled in the good treatment of his parents. We ask Allah Ta'ala to make us of those who are good to our parents, to make us of those who are the coolest in the eye of our parents, to make us of those who never even say to our parents the like of uff. هذا أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروا فإنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Ya ibadallah, let us take example and let us see the effects of being good to one's parents. That the man, by way of this deed and being sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because inna al-ikhlas min asbab tafrij al-qurbat, because verily having sincerity in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having ikhlas, this is a means from the means of escape from difficulties, from trials and tribulations. So if we're going through any difficulties in our life and we want an escape, let us review, how do we treat our parents? How is the relationship that we have with our parents? How do we interact with our parents? Because this one, due to his good treatment of his parents upon ikhlas, upon sincerity, and we find that in his statement, إِن كُنْتُ فَعَلْتُ ذَلِكَ بِابْتِغَاءِ وَجْهِكَ, and if I had done that seeking only your face. So this one was upon ikhlas. This one he was upon sincerity. So the rocket moved. The rocket moved, but not enough for them to get out. وقال الآخر, and another one, the second of the three, he said, Allahumma kanat libnatu ammin. He said, oh Allah, I had a female cousin. I had a female cousin. Kanat ahabba an-nas ilayya, and she was the most beloved of the people to me. I loved her more than anybody else from the people. فَأَرَدْتُهَا عَنْ نَفْسِهَا, and I used to try to seduce her, but she used to refuse my advances. I used to try to seduce her, but she used to refuse my advances. فَأَصَابَتْهَا سَنَةٌ مِنَ السِّنِينَ, but then there came to her some rough times. There came to her some tough years. فَجَاءَتْ إِلَيَّ, and she came to me. فَأَعْطَيْتُهَا 20 وَمِئَ دِينَارٍ, so I gave her 120 dinar, which was a lot of money at that time. It's a lot of money. So I gave her this money. عَلَى أَن تُخَلِّيَ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ نَفْسِهَا, I gave her this money on the condition that she will allow me to be alone with her and to sleep with her. فَفَعَلَتْ, so due to the situation, she agreed to my terms. فَلَمَّا قَدِرْتُ عَلَيْهَا, and when I had the ability to carry out and to fulfill, because she was so down on her time, she was so in a rough situation that she gave in. She didn't want to. There was not a single portion of her body that wanted to comply. But the situation was so rough, she felt there was no other option but to agree to his demands, to agree to his terms. So she agreed. And when he was able to carry it out and to fulfill it, but for riwayah, and inside of another narration it said, فَلَمَّا قَعَدْتُ بَيْنَ رِجْلَيْهَا, in another narration it said, and when I sat between her legs, which gives you the indication of the situation. قَالَتْ, she said, when it was at this time, she said to him, reminding him, اتقِ, fear Allah, fear Allah, وَلَا تَفُضَّ الْخَاتَمِ إِلَّا بِحَقِّهِ, and do not break this seal except by its right. She reminded him, don't do this. Don't do this in this way. It can only be in marriage. Such things only take place in marriage. Do not break the seal without its right. Meaning, do not do this outside of the institute of marriage. Do not do this and we are not married. So the man, at this tender stage, he was reminded and he left it. He got up and he left. He didn't continue. So he said, Allahumma in kuntu fa'altu dhalika ibtigha'a wajhik fafruj anna ma nahnu fi. He said, oh Allah, if I had done this sincerely for your face, he said, oh Allah, if I have done this sincerely for your face, then save us from the situation that we are in. فانفجرت الصخرة غير أنها لا يستطيعون الخروج. So the rock, it moved again, but again not enough for them to get out. It moved again, but again not enough for them to get out. Let us be reminded, ya ibad, that when we're going through the difficult times, let us remember that we have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As this woman, she was in a difficult time. She felt like she had no choice, but at the end of the affair, she stopped and she reminded him to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember, because this one, he was in good times, that those who remember Allah in good times, Allah will aid you when things become rough for you. This man, he was in a good situation and he feared Allah. So when he was in a bad situation, Allah answered his dua. And it reminds me of the statement of the poet, where he said, نحن ندعو الإله في كل كرب ثم ننساه عند كشف الكروب كيف نرجو إجابة للدعاء وقد سددنا طريقها بالذنوب. He said that we always, all of us, always, we're begging Allah, we're calling upon Allah in every difficulty. We call upon Allah. But then, once the difficulty is removed, we forget Allah. He said, how is it that we anticipate an answer for our supplication when we have blocked the road by sins? We want an answer, but we have blocked the road by sins. We have delayed or blocked the answer by what? By the sins that we put forward. So when you are in good times, fear Allah, stay away from the haram. And when you're in bad times, this will be an aid for you. This will be an aid for you. This one, he remembered that Allah Ta'ala was watching him. Allah Ta'ala, he says, يَعْلَمُ خَائِنَةَ الْأَعْيُنِ وَمَا تُخْفِي الصُّدُورِ. Allah Ta'ala, he says, and he, Allah, he knows the fraud of the eyes, and he knows what the chest conceals. Allah knows the fraud of the eyes. When a person is saying something and he's lying, but then his eyes are doing this type of stuff and making his gesturing and the like, Allah knows the fraud of the eyes. The people may didn't catch it. Allah knows. And Allah knows what the chest conceals. Allah knows what you hide in your chest. Allah knows your secrets. Allah Ta'ala, he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَخْفَى عَلَيْهِ شَيْءٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فِي السَّمَاءِ. Allah Ta'ala, he says what means, and there is nothing that is hidden from Allah, not in the earth nor in the heavens. Nothing is hidden from Allah. Allah knows. And it's as Imam Al-Qahtani, he says in his Nuniyya, and I want you to remember this, ya ibad, that Allah Ta'ala, he is watching. Although you may be in a situation where you think no one can see you, although you may be alone and you think no one can see you, although you may be in the dark of the night thinking you ain't going to get caught, remember these lines of poetry. Imam Al-Qahtani, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وَإِذَا خَلَوْتَ بِرِيبَةٍ فِي ظُلْمَةٍ وَالنَّفْسُ دَاعِيَةٌ إِلَى الْعِصْيَانِ فاستحي من نظر الإله وقل لها إن الذي خلق الظلام يراني. He said that when you are alone with that woman that you're going to fornicate with inside of the dark, when you're alone with that woman you want to fornicate with and the lights are off, it's dark, and your soul is calling you to commit the crime, your soul is calling you to commit disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, then be shy from the sight of your Lord. Be shy. The human being can't see you, but Allah sees you. Be shy. The human being don't know what you're doing, but Allah knows what you're doing. Be shy. although it's dark and the lights are off, be shy from Allah looking at you, and then say to her, verily, the one who created the darkness, he sees me. The third, قال اللهم استأجرت أجراء فأعطيت كل أجير منهم أجره غير رجل واحد. He said, oh Allah, I had some people that I used to employ, some workers for me, and after they done their work, I gave everybody their wages, except for one man. He said, except for one man. ذهب وترك الذي له. He went away and he left that which belonged to him. He didn't come back to accept his wage, his payment. فثمرت له أجره حتى كثرت منه الأموال. He said, so I invested his money, the wage that belonged to him, I invested it until it grew, until he had a lot of money. There's a lot of profit came from what I invested from his money. فجاءني, then he came back to me. فقال يا عبد الله أدي إلي أجري. He said, oh servant of Allah, give me what you owe me, give me my wages from that time. He came to pick up his money. فقلت كل ما ترى من المال لك من الإبل والبقر والغنم ورقيق. He said, so I said to him that all of what you're seeing from this wealth then is yours. From the camels, from the livestock, from the cows, etc. All of what you're seeing, all of this is yours. فقال يا عبد الله لا تستهزئ بي. He said, so the man who was the worker, he said, oh Abdullah, don't make fun of me. Oh Abdullah, don't play with me. Don't make fun of me. فقلت لا أستهزئ بك. He said to him, I'm not making fun of you. Seriously, all of this is yours. فأخذه كله. So he took all of it. فاستقاه فلم يترك منه شيئا. He said, so he took all of it. فاستاقه فلم يترك منه شيئا. He took it all, he didn't leave nothing. He took all the wealth, and he didn't leave anything behind. So he said, Allahumma in kuntu fa'altu dhalika b'tigha'a wajhik fafruj anna ma nahnu fih. فانفجرت عنهم الصخرة وخرجوا يمشون. So he said, oh Allah, if what I have done, I had did it sincerely for your face, then remove from us this difficulty that we are in. So the rock, it moved, and they were able to get out, and they got out and they walked away from this situation. Inside of this third example, ya ibad, we see the importance of the keeping of the amana, the importance of the keeping of the trust, and how as Muslims we have to keep the trust. We have to take example from these three believers, and from that example we have to maintain the trust. We have to fulfill the trust. If we are entrusted to someone's property, we have to safeguard that. It is not for us to let it go to waste, but we have to save it for them. Maintain that trust. Keep that trust. This is something that is binding upon us. We are not to become greedy, because how easy was it for this man to become greedy and to start to make excuses, like people start to make excuses when they have the love for the money, saying things like, well, I did give him only what I owed him, and whatever he had accumulated from it, it was due to my investment, it was due to my skills, it was due to my, so I should get a cut, right? I should get some of it, right? I can keep it all, right? Just give him what I owe him, right? No, it all belongs to him. It all stemmed from his seed, for lack of a better term. That money, that was his wage, that was the seed money in those investments, and then what sprouted from it belonged to the seed. It came from the seed, so he gave it all to him. So let us be mindful, those of us who have people in our employment, those of us who may have stores, businesses and the like, and we have people who are employed by us, don't play games with them. Don't hit them with the akhi mentality when it comes time for the check. You know the akhi mentality. Akh, understand. I'm sorry, we got a problem with payroll this week, Akh. You understand, right? Come on, man. This is not correct. Don't play around with your brother by thinking, oh, it's your brother, so he understand. You don't do that with the kafir. You don't do that with the kafir. You pay the man his wage when his wage is due. So why you want to play games with your brother? Why you want to think your brother understand? Your brother got bills like you got bills. Your brother got issues like you got issues. Your brother got things he dealing with like things you dealing with. Just like you need the money, your brother need his money. He worked for you all week. Did what he was supposed to do. Got there on time. Maybe stayed late. Give that man his check when the checks is due. If that means you can't get paid, then you don't get paid. Make sure he gets paid. We have to maintain the amana. We have to maintain the amana. We have to maintain the trust. We have to keep the trust. When we employ people, we have to make sure we pay them when it's time for them to get paid. Don't play no games. Pay the people. Be good to your employees. Don't mistreat them. Don't abuse them. Take example from these believers. Because the situation that they were in, stuck inside of a cave, no way to get out. Think about those deeds in which they mentioned that they did sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then they got out. So don't think this is something small, something little. This is tremendous. These are tremendous good deeds to take example from. So let us take example from this. Let us strive as relates to all of these things that are mentioned and that which is connected to it, to strive our best or our utmost to follow these examples and to fulfill these things and to be serious about these things, because these are tremendous things, and to be serious about the deen of al-Islam, period. To strive our best to do that which Allah loves and that which Allah Ta'ala is pleased with, and we ask Allah Ta'ala that He makes me and you from those who He gives us success to do that which He loves and that which He is pleased with. هذا يا عباد فأقيموا الصلاة.